I think really we just have to do like what we did when TikTok started, adapt. We need to just keep doing what we're doing, but like it's not like we don't have resources that are out there.
You're listening to Our Space with Matt Vettese.
Our Space with Matt Vettese is back, baby. Yes. If you were following along throughout 2024, first things first, thank you so much. 2024 was a wild year with thousands and thousands of downloads for interviews with some of your favorite bands to bands that you've never heard of before, but are now your new favorite. I've gotten a ton of messages saying, hey, because of your show, because of your interview, I went to go and check out this band and they are my favorite now. And those messages always mean the world to me. If you've clicked this link and you heard that clip at the start of the episode, you probably know we're going to be talking to Adjust the Sales this week about the TikTok ban and social media as a musician, which has been such a crazy time over the last few days. As you know, Sunday, TikTok went dark for 17 hours, then came back. Here's the thing. This conversation happened just days before all of that happened. 99% of this conversation is going to be relevant. I just want to preface this conversation with that because there were points where we weren't sure in the conversation what was going to happen. Is it going to get banned? Is it not going to get banned? How are artists going to react? All of that. So that's the bulk of the conversation. It's back as of recording this right now. But whether it goes away forever in 90 days, whether it stays forever, I think this is a relevant conversation for artists using social media, marketing their music, and for fans and how we can discover new music. It's an incredible conversation. Just a quick update on the actual podcast, okay? Because if you were following along throughout 2024, you know that we kind of stopped about midway through. If you're following along on my Instagram page, you probably saw a different podcast being promoted called The Top 8. So what happened was we went rolling throughout the first half to 3/4 of 2024, thousands and thousands of downloads. And, we were rolling with it. Really, really popular. It's been amazing seeing how many people have responded so positively to the show, which was amazing. The only problem was summer hit. We all get busy in the summer. So that was one thing. I got married this past summer. So that kind of started to slow things down. And then it's like every single band went on tour. Who knew bands go on tour in the summer? So it was really hard to book some bands throughout the summer. So now that we've gone through a year of this and we've learned, we're going to adjust and make things a lot better. So what to expect from Our Space with Matt Vettese in 2025. We're going to have interviews throughout the first half of the year. Summer's going to come. I'm going to take a break. All right. Bands are going to be on tour. I'm going to be at concerts. Every now and then, if I can score an interview with a band or maybe be at a concert and do like a backstage interview, we're going to do that. So remember to follow along throughout the summer for those pop-in episodes, but the consistency is going to start to slow down. And then we're going to pick it back up in the fall. One podcast that has been consistent throughout the entire time has also been the Top 8 podcast. The Top 8 podcast, if you haven't seen that yet, is a podcast my friend TJ and I do, a part of Our Space Media, where we rank topics, songs, bands, albums, all of that from 1 to 8. Okay, so make sure you go and check out that podcast with me and TJ as well. We got sent to When We Were Young last year. We got sent to All Your Friends Fest last year. And we did a bunch of artist interviews with bands like The Used and Taking Back Sunday. So if you haven't checked out those interviews, go and do that, a part of Our Space Media on the Top 8 podcast. But for now, we are jumping into our conversation with Shane from Adjust the Sales. It's awesome to have Shane on the show. You've probably seen his videos on social media and hopefully been streaming his music as well. I was looking at your numbers from your Spotify Wrapped. You've had quite a year.
Yeah, a bit of an accidental success. It's definitely been crazy. I played a show with Doan on Sunday, and we were like talking about like the whole like when things start rolling thing about it. And it's like, we were both talking about how like we both remembered like hitting our first like 1,000 and being like so hyped on it. And it's like, as time progresses, you like, and the returns kind of diminish a little bit, like not saying like I'm ungrateful for everything we've gotten, but it's like sometimes you're like, you have a bad month and you're just like, but then you have to like remind yourself like, nah, bro, like you were psyched like 5 years ago when you hit like 1,000, like chill out. So it's definitely, it's been a year though. Like it's definitely been crazy. I've been very appreciative of this year.
Yeah. And you've been hitting those numbers. And I just can imagine with the ups and downs, what those would be like. How do you, I guess, regulate that when you have a down month and then another up month? Like,
It kind of just like try to change everything up. Cause like the thing about, I don't really tour too much, which is something I'm hoping to change this year. One of the main things is I basically just try to change up the posting strat, I guess. Cause like, let's be honest, like the only reason I have anybody listening to me is because of like TikTok or Instagram reels, doing most of the heavy lifting, excuse me. And, basically if I start noticing like a downward trend, I usually see that like, whatever I'm posting is not necessarily working anymore. So it's like, okay, let's try something else. And that's why like I typically have like a pattern. Like you'll see me bounce back and forth between like the meme content where I'm just like going into CapCut and like making a meme with the songs. And it's usually the same meme over and over again because I'm uncreative in most aspects of life. And then, or it'll go to like just me standing there with a bunch of text on the screen, or like sometimes it's like little performance edits, like stuff like that. But that's basically if like one's not working and I've been doing it for a while, I'll switch to another one and like see if I can get that to kind of kick off. And that's usually what'll happen. The big thing that like I need to get out of my own head about it sometimes, because it's like I'll see that off where I'll be like, I haven't posted in like a week because I've been like enjoying my life or taking a break or whatever else, and it's like I'll see that little, because it usually goes like this. It's like Monday, you'll see that like Discover Weekly pop off a little bit, and then it'll kind of drip down throughout the week and then back up. And sometimes that dips just a little bit too much for me. I'm like, oh, it's because I didn't post this week. Like I'm ruining this. I need to. So then like desperation starts, and I'm like, no, stop being desperate. You look fucking stupid. Like just do normal. Just be normal. Like post, forget about it. And that's like what I've been trying to do recently is just like throw out the post and just forget about it.
what made you start promoting your music on social media? Like, how did you get started in that?
So I kind of started with like Instagram and Facebook before TikTok was a thing. I really didn't get into TikTok till like I want to say near the end of like lockdown. I wasn't one of those people who like turned to TikTok the second we all got locked down. Like I kind of hit it right near the end, like when things were back opening up. But I kind of just, I don't know, man. Like I grew up in Maryland. Everything says adjusted sales, Atlanta and Georgia, whatever. But like I've literally only lived here for like 6 years now, I think. Lived in Maryland beforehand, and I didn't want to get stuck in like the local band scene, I think was my mentality with it. I didn't want to be like my friends' bands or like the other bands I knew locally who were literally just playing for the same, I don't know, like 15, 20 people every week, every month, whatever. And I didn't really want that to be like how we were. So I basically was just like, well, let's get on Instagram and just like post videos. Let's post pictures. Let's do this. Let's like kind of advertise. Let's be honest. Like I did the follow unfollow thing that like every band has done at some point, which not proud of, but like I've matured enough to admit that I did it. And then basically I think Dave Days, I don't know if you remember Dave Days from back in the day, like back in the like not early YouTube, but like he did like parody songs of like Miley Cyrus mostly.
Okay. Maybe if I saw him, I was not very into like the early YouTube days and like the creators. So a lot of that goes over my head for sure.
He was like sort of like that all-time low Mayday Parade era of pop punk, but like all Miley Cyrus parodies for the most part. But basically I got a Facebook ad about him. Like it was my first like music marketing ad I ever saw. Now I've seen like about 1 million of them, and I'm like, okay, this is all the same garbage. I'm not looking at this. Not that it's garbage, but like I'm not paying for a course for it. But I did pay for the Dave Days course and like learned a bit about like setting up ads and everything. So I set up ads and I targeted like everywhere, and it was like our Facebook profile like got a bunch of likes and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is the way to do this. So kind of just started doing that. Like we tried to just promote on social media, because I'm like, why play in front of like these 15 to 20 people, like these friends that already are forced to listen to me when I bust out the guitar? Like why continue to just play for them when like I can just literally have the whole world at my fingertips, So that's kind of what started that. And then with TikTok, it was like I just kept seeing not people, but I guess marketing connections I kind of made, like talk about how like bands need to post on TikTok, bands need to post on TikTok. And I had the same mentality of like, this isn't like dance cringe music. I'm not going to do anything. And I was like, you know what, screw it. Let's do it. So I started posting there, and, you know, it's funny because what blew up was like a dumb rant when I was about to give up on TikTok. And that's what like started any kind of, I guess you could say, success I've had with this. But like, yeah, no, TikTok was definitely a game changer, and I haven't spent any money on ads since, and it's been great like not having that expense. So
it sounds like you started based off of ads because of a class that you took or a course that you took.
yeah,
And then you just kind of like developed those skills afterwards and then kind of took those onto TikTok. Do you have any sort of like marketing background as well? Or is that
no, literally the only marketing I had was like figuring out what ads worked for like me, like what worked for us. And like I will say, like I had a couple like music homies reach out and like, yo, what did you do? Like, cause like we have this little bit of extra money we could like maybe spend to promote. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do like, I don't want to be like these other people charging $300 for a course. So like I taught a bunch of homies how to do it, and then like I threw up like a pre-recorded course on like Fiverr for like $10. And I'm like, here, just do this. I'm gonna show everybody what I do. This is how I make, you know, the ads that I make. And it worked out for a couple people. Some of the people who took those courses I'm like friends with, like I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about, but like Rain from Upon Your Dead Body, who's been kind of popping off recently on like social media and everything. He took the course like 4 or 5 years ago, and like I kind of helped him walk through it because I was like, well, maybe you should target these people because you kind of sound like this. So like he targeted like the fans of like Pierce the Veil and stuff, because like his early music was a lot more like scene-esque. And yeah, no, and we've been homies ever since. I've done 3 songs with that man. So
I mean, that's amazing, especially not coming from that background, just kind of like figuring it on your own and figure out something that's actually worked for you. I'm curious, like as a musician posting your music on TikTok and Instagram, I feel like I hear a little bit of discourse from other musicians in terms of social media using that as a tool to, you know, promote your music, and, you know, the whole like I'm a musician, not a content creator type of argument. I'm curious how you feel about that.
Well, there's that. And then a lot of those people also look down at the people almost. Like I was talking to I'm going to try and not say names because I don't want to start crap with anybody. But I opened for a certain band in Atlanta when they came through, and I was like super psyched about it, like gassing up the post, posting memes, everything else. And like they were super cool, like leading up to it. And then I met them like at the show, and like the singer was just very like off-putting. Like he was very like hardly wanted to talk to me, like hardly wanted to like give any advice or anything. Kind of was just like, yeah, well, you need to tour, you need to do this. And I'm like, well, I mean, I want to tour. That's the thing. Cause like, we can get into it a little bit later, I guess. But like I touring is something I've wanted to do. It's just something that because of other factors has never happened necessarily. And I talked to another homies band who kind of played with them at another show, and they said like, yeah, no, I got the same vibe. And I'm like, it kind of feels like I left a bad taste, like almost like not, my brain just took me to the place where I'm like, I almost feel like these other bands who are like doing the whole, you know, DIY basement touring nonstop and then working their way up to big venues, like they kind of look down on like the TikTok musicians. And he was like, oh no, without a doubt, we've gotten a bunch of shit from like bands we loved because we popped off on like TikTok and now we're touring. And so that stigma's there. I will say marketing your music has always been part of this though. Like nobody ever just started making music and then it just like got hurt and blew up. Like there was some, like, yes, you have like, you know, your Hobo Johnsons that like enter a contest and blow up overnight, all that other stuff. But like really when you think about it, those contest videos are marketing. Like people go through and watch the entries. So like if you make one, you're marketing yourself, you know, you're putting yourself into a contest to get exposure, to be marketed. Marketing is something that, you know, musicians have always kind of had to do. And I don't think anybody really thinks about it that way. And the whole, I can't make content thing, like, bro, just swallow your pride a little bit, you know, like I'm a lot more obnoxious on TikTok, I think, than I am in real life. I'd like to think like I'm not like, actually, no, I know that I'm not like the super overly cringe lord that I am on like TikTok sometimes. But the thing is I know that that's what people are going to engage with. And that's going to push me to more people. Like if I post something about my song, I put like a couple other bands names in it, like trying to reach their fans. one, anybody who leaves like a hate comment because of how cringy the video is, or like I am anyway, probably wasn't going to listen to the music anyway, regardless of what they say. Because I get that a lot. It's like, I would like your music if it wasn't for the videos. No, you wouldn't. Like, let's be honest. Like, you either would like it or you don't. Like, and just like not care about what these strangers on the internet think, because these people who are going to like trash you are literally just helping you reach the people who do like you. Because that's the thing, is if you look at like other people's videos, like who are doing kind of the same thing as I am, I see a lot of familiar names. Like I see a lot of the same like haters, and the only thing they're doing is they're just ruining their algorithm, unless like their favorite pastime is just shitting on like bands promoting their music. But like, that's your problem, bro. That's not mine. I don't care.
You've got a point. I feel like there's almost like, I don't know, whenever I've heard that other side of the argument, let's call it, I've always just kind of wondered why it kind of gets there. And I guess as you were talking, it kind of seems like maybe they feel like you didn't pay your, and I'm not saying you specifically, but like TikTok, people that, you know, started getting popular on TikTok didn't pay their dues by doing the touring. But I also do, you know, strongly believe that you need a mix of both, and the marketing is very, very important.
Agreed. And I do think that I get it to an extent, because I have had certain interactions with like musicians on like TikTok necessarily, who you can obviously tell are just in it for them. Like I like making friends, bro. Like I recently, I've Sammy from Just Friends and Mom Jeans. I have loved Just Friends. I've loved Mom Jeans for like ever. Okay. No secret there. But I followed Just Friends on like TikTok for like the longest time, and like the other day they followed me back because like I left a comment on their video or whatever, and I was like, yo, low key, because another thing about me is I'm literally just a music fanboy who accidentally found some success. That's like the thing. So when they followed me, I was like, yo, whoa, like what the fuck? So like I DM'd them and everything, and they're like, you fuck with us? I was like, yeah, bro, like ever since you guys put out because I think like when they put out Stupid, I just put out like Lifetime of Bad Habits or something, we landed the same Spotify playlist, and I like fell in love with it. I'm like, this is dope. And I didn't know I was talking to Sammy. I just thought I was talking to like whoever ran the account, you know? And no, yeah, Sammy ends up like, here's my number, like text it up. And so like we talk, and like I love that. I love that I've like made that bit of a friend. And same with like Doan. I played with Doan. I've seen him all over TikTok, and now like me and him, like we literally just sat there and shot the shit for like, you know, probably like an hour or two, because you know shows you show up like 4 hours early for sound check, and then you're just sitting there like twiddling your thumbs for 4 hours. So we shot the shit and like made, but like, you know, I like that. I like supporting the people who are making music that I like that. But you do have your TikTok musicians and everything who are literally just in it for them. Like you will hardly ever see them engage with anything. Like it is literally just, hey, like my stuff, and then just never respond. Meanwhile, like even like fans, bro, like I try to, if I get that little notification that says so-and-so used your sound, and it's like one of my songs, I like it, try to leave a comment and I share it. It's obnoxious, like not doing it for them, but like it gets very time consuming and like taxing.
Yeah.
And if I'm rambling at all ever, just shut me up. But like, that's kind of, I don't know. I like that, but I understand the stigma, because there are bands out there or artists out there that are like that.
I feel like
I can get that.
That's the cool part of social media, though, is the social aspect, right? I feel like this is what made MySpace so popular back in the day, too. Like I always like talk about that. I was, you know, I think like 13 when I found MySpace and first logged on, because my cousin was dating a girl who played in a ska band, and she's like, go and check out our MySpace page. And I was like, what's this? You know, and then all of a sudden I'm like 13 years old and messaging Jimmy Eat World, and I'm like, this is the coolest thing. Like Jimmy Eat World just sent me a message back. And
starting drama with your friends by moving your top one down to your top three or something. Yeah,
exactly.
I love those days.
So it's like, but like that was the thing that made MySpace so appealing. It was because it was social media without the everyone's trying to sell you something. Like bands were trying to get noticed and pop off on it, and we were trying to make connections and friends and all of that. But like that's where I really like TikTok and like the music and emo side of TikTok and Instagram, because you do have a lot of people that, you know, you can make connections with and do that. And I feel like, as you touched upon, there's those two types of people, right? There's the people like yourself who are actually going to interact and engage with their fans, and then the other people that are just in it for themselves. And, you know, they're going to try to pop off, drop a few songs, and they're never going to play a show, you know, or just like they have 1 million followers, can't bring 10 people into a room though. But I'm curious, you know, because obviously it is a great marketing tool for bands, and it has been, and so many people have been recognized and created careers out of this app and this form of social media and the short form video and all of that. How do you think that will affect you and other musicians with that upcoming ban, as we're sort of like days away as we record this?
I think really we just have to do like what we did when TikTok started, you know, adapt. We need to just keep doing what we're doing, but like it's not like we don't have resources that are out there. Like, to be honest, I've had a lot better like reach and engagement with like Instagram Reels recently, which like that's a whole nother can of worms because like of, you know, certain things that have changed with that recently. So I know a lot of people are kind of jumping the meta ship as well, but like the thing is, like, unfortunately we don't really have too many places to go. You know,
I'm guessing you're talking about the Zuckerberg changes with
the Zuckerberg
Meta.
changes, and like also like I've seen a couple of videos of like things you're allowed to say on the app now that just like people I guess like went through and said stuff and saw like what got caught and what didn't, and like some of it's I get like the whole free speech thing, but like free speech is just like it's one of those things where it doesn't mean you're like just free to just, I don't know how to put it, and I'm not trying to get like super political about it, but like it doesn't mean like just go ahead and be a douche. Like, I mean, I guess if you want to be a douche, that's fine, you can be a douche, but like there are still consequences for things. And I think that that's what people need to like accept about it. But like I've had really good reach with Reels. One nice thing about Reels is like when you're posting on Reels, if you're doing it smartly, you're not just posting on Reels, you're also posting on Facebook. So like you're reaching people there. Most of my Reels that have like popped off, because like I've had a higher view count on Reels than I have with TikTok. Like I've definitely posted more stuff on TikTok, gotten a bunch of likes and everything, but I have consistently gone viral more on Instagram Reels than I have on TikTok.
And if we're going to compare those two platforms, I found from my experience, like TikTok is great for virality, but also at the same time, Instagram feels like there's more of like, more community. Like the people following you are actually following you for your content. Whereas like with TikTok, everything is strictly the For You feed. So even if people follow you, like there's people that I follow that like I haven't seen a TikTok from in years because my algorithm just isn't showing me that type of content anymore.
Exactly. And that happens to me all the time. Like I'll have something kind of finally pop off and they're like, whoa, you haven't been on my For You page in like years. And I'm like, yeah. Which like also isn't too weird. Like most of my early following had nothing to do with the music. I like made a dumb video where I was like, hey, I need you to listen to me. Like if you don't have your parents' approval, I need you to listen to me. I'm your dad now and I'm proud, or like something like that. And it got like, I think it was my first video to like get close to 1 million views. And it's because it reached the LGBTQ community. And most of them were like, Dad, I'm trans. Are you proud? And I'm like the way you're asking me this is weird, but like, yes. And also it's like really upsetting that like so many of you, cause like, you know, I'm straight, I'm white. So like, I'm not saying my parents were perfect, but like, you know, they did their best. But like, I didn't really ever feel like I had to ask that, I guess. So like, it's just sad to me that that's the case, you know? And so like I commented on most of them and I was like, yeah, of course, like no problem. But like most of my early following was that. So like, of course, when I started posting the music, they're like, not really here for that. Here more for the dad thing. And I'm like, okay. But so to anybody who is like listening to this, who is maybe like a musician trying to like build a following or anything, or trying to like think about the Instagram thing. Here's a little pro tip. I may or may not have had a phone call with like a Meta media specialist like 6 months ago. And this is what they told me. Reels are great for reaching new people. Carousels are perfect for getting engagement. So basically, if you are trying to like build your community, keep everybody seeing you, engage, like build your fan, like take people from like liking a song to like liking you, do post reels as often as you can to get them in the door. Like anytime you would post a TikTok, post a reel. And then just try to get like 1 or 2 carousels a week. And like they're super easy. Just like I start mine with like a meme. And then later in the swipes, like either have like song lyrics or like announcements I have. Like I just opened for Zach Zachary Ross playing an acoustic man overboard set with Doan and Roach. Cool kid, by the way. Just met him for the first time, and I was like, this kid's got mental problems, and I love it. But so it was like the first post I made to announce it got like 3,000 likes, and like the promoter's like, you need to make this a collab post with me. We need to let, and I'm like, okay, man, like we'll do it. Like, granted, 3,000 people did not come. I think we like literally played for like 35 people, but I think like the fact that Georgia's literally shuts down whenever it snows, and we literally got snow like a day before. I'm gonna still take it as a win, because it's also at a venue that like I've never had anybody come out to. So like Smith's Old Bar, I always hear about how much people love Smith's, and I like it too. It's a super cool venue, but I can never get people to come out to it. So, but that's the thing, is like the carousels are really good for like getting people to like actually engage, because like they have to sit there and swipe through it, and like, so you start with a meme, make them laugh, and then put your announcements in there, or you could do what other people do and put the announcement first and then the memes. I just like to start with the meme, because one, I know that that's why most people follow me, is for the memes. So I'm just going to keep it straight right out the gate, just give them the meme, and then anybody who cares will swipe and see the announcement. So
I think one of the cool things that you do is you balance out the memes with your music. Like, you're using memes to promote your music. So it's like, yeah, the memes are one thing, because it's like, oh, okay, cool, this was funny or creative or witty, or like, I like this, I relate to this. But also you're using your music in order to pull them in, right? And like, if your music wasn't good or relatable or anything like that, then that also kills the meme.
Depends on who you ask, but yes, no, you
need to have both, because it's like, it's not like you're putting a front bottom song onto it. Then it would be strictly for the meme and the memes. And, yeah, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But no, which is something I've thought about, because I do see other bands like using a lot of other songs like in their shit, and meanwhile I'm over here just using my own. So I'm like, oh, I can probably look like I'm super self-centered doing this, but like also like, I am here to do something. It's so you kind of said it earlier, where you were like, which I will say I disagreed with a little bit, where you were like, you liked MySpace because nobody was trying to sell anything. Companies maybe weren't trying to sell us anything necessarily, but like, honestly, we were still trying to get people to listen to our music. So we were trying to sell something.
That's fair. I mean, everone's always trying to sell something at some point. So definitely misspoke there. Bands were trying to sell their stuff. I'm not trying to put you on blast. It's fine. But put me on blast if you need to. Like, absolutely, I can take it.
That's literally what I'm, I'm using social media to like build an audience and everything. Like, I have personal social media. I never post on it. I think the last time I posted on my personal Instagram was when I got married 3 years ago. I posted our wedding photos. That was it. Facebook, like, I share music wins, or like right now, like the weight loss wins, kind of, because like I have a couple buddies who are like going through similar things, and then like some other pals who are like, gym rats. So, and I'm just like kind of proud about it. And I don't really necessarily want to just flood the Adjust the Sales feed with a bunch of like progress photos of myself. So like I think I posted one today, but I was like clothed, and it was like two different shows, like a show from a year ago, and then like the show last weekend. I don't know, if it wasn't for the music thing, I wouldn't be on social media. I don't think I'd really be using it like at all. The main reason I use it is because like I have friends. Like, I'm not saying I'm not down to make more friends. And like I said, I like making friends with like the people who, I look up to, I listen to, like, I like building these musician friends, but like, if I wasn't doing the whole music thing, like, I wouldn't really be worried about it, So at the end of the day, yeah, I am kind of out there to get heard. I'm out there to like try and build the brand a little bit, because like I said, this year I'm trying to do more tour stuff. Like, I think we've pretty much booked like a little 5-day run in March that I'm looking that just to kind of test the waters and see if like I can actually do this. But yeah, without any of this, like I'm posting for a reason, like, and I'm going to keep posting for a reason. So like, maybe I'll throw in somebody else's songs from time to time, but I am out here with a mission. So
I honestly don't think that there's anything wrong with that, because I feel like that's necessary. Like, you need to promote your music somehow, some way.
You do. You can't just throw it out to the void. Like, I feel like a lot of people do. I'll get like a lot of people, like, I'll get DMs from people who are like, hey, can you check out my music? And like, sometimes like, yeah, I do. Other times, I'll be honest, I don't. But like, there's no actual effort for them to do it. They're doing that whole like old meme of like, what's the first step of making a new band? Make a Facebook page and post big things coming soon. And it's like, no, like, wait till you have stuff and then like show that off. Like, make me want to listen to you, Let me see something.
Absolutely. especially when it's so, I don't want to say it's easy, but like it's in your pocket. It's so accessible. It's not easy. It's accessible.
It is. Like you literally have the whole world in your hands right here, bro. Like
try to make something of it. And if you don't know how to, learn.
Literally just like look up bands or like, just like look up other bands and stuff on social media. Look at what they're doing and then just put your own twist on it. You know, like not song wise. I'm not saying take someone else's song and like make it a little bit different to try and pop off. No. What I'm saying though is like see what other bands and musicians are doing and then just copy it. Like there's a reason why the POV you just found your new favorite band like do the best. Or can you do me a solid and do this? Like the whole thing that it doesn't take much. It just takes getting the engagement. Like at the end of the day, I'm not trying to turn like being a musician into like a fucking how to run a business course, but like when it comes to like music and social media, like that's kind of what you have to do. Like it is all a numbers game, unfortunately. And what runs it is the engagement. Like, people pop off because they have a really good song and go viral. But the reason why that post goes viral is because people are engaging with it. People are being like, wow, I really like this, or wow, I really hate this, or like things like that. And if it starts that conversation and keeps it going, that's what makes it reach more people. So basically, if you do those POV, you just found your new favorite bands. One, the people who don't like it are going to be like, nah, this fucking sucks. And that's a comment that counts. Or other people will be like, oh my God, this is actually really good. Like, or if I'm trying to find the fans of people who like this, they'll be like, oh, you found them. Like, or that sucks. Like, so like I said, the reason why those do so well is because they start a conversation. And so, and granted, I've tried to do the whole thing that like people like Doan and like other people have done where like they just record themselves playing songs. I've tried that and I've had very minimal success. And that's why I just double down on the meme thing. Cause it's like, I don't know, like you said, the music's good. People listen to it. I understand that. But like, I feel like, I don't know, for whatever reason, my algorithm does not want me to just post videos of me singing and playing guitar. So I don't.
Hey, I mean, you figure out what works for you and you keep going with that. And at the end of the day, you're accomplishing your mission. It sounds like your mission is to play music, get people to hear your music, and you're just found a tool and a way to promote that and make that possible. So that's freaking awesome, in my opinion.
It's kind of cheesy, but like I always say that like I want to provide for someone else like what bands like, My Chem, Motion City Soundtrack, Say Anything, like bands I listened to when I was like a teen. Like I want to provide for someone else like what that provided for me, even if my songs aren't as good, even if my songs are like sometimes low-key kind of cringy. Like if somebody like can hit me up, and which happens more than I ever thought it would, like hits me up and is like, your song got me through this, or this song got me through this, or I listen to this every day because I'm going through this, like stuff like that. Like that makes my heart happy. Like I'm like, okay, that's like what I wanted from this. And it's super cool. The whole sort of making this part of a job, like, is kind of cool just because I want to believe there's more to life than going to a job that I don't care about, So honestly, like getting to do this whole thing full time would be a dream. And so yes, I do want to make it a job. But it's not that it can't be both, like I want to provide a service to somebody that was provided to me by somebody else. And I also would not mind having this be my livelihood,
I love that. I want to touch on another thing from your content, but kind of getting more a little bit into you. I noticed a lot of your content, you compare yourself to the Front Bottoms quite often, or comments will refer to you as the Front Bottom.
So that's why. That right there is why. Yeah. So I get shit all the time because it's like, bro's trying so hard to be the Front Bottoms. Bro's trying so hard to be modern baseball. I'm not the first one who made the comparison, bro. I basically got the comparison, and this kind of goes back to earlier when I said my first viral video was not like actual piece of content. It was me ranting about the fact that I don't think people knew that my songs were actually by me. Cause I used to do the whole thing of like joining a bunch of groups on Facebook that were like for bands that kind of sounded similar or like had the same vibe. And I shared my music in there. And I think it was when I first put out Mike Walton, I shared it because Mike Walton says it came out in like 2020. It came out in like 2017, 2018. I just took it down when I made the studio version and then ended up putting it back up because so many people wanted the old version back. I posted it in a Front Bottoms group. and a modern baseball group, and I think like a Midwest emo posting group, like a bunch of different groups. I shared the song, and it was about like probably 3 years later, right when I was like going through the whole TikTok thing, I got like tagged because somebody posted in there and said, "Hey, there was a song shared in here a while ago about like a body being covered in tattoos, but I wish it was covered by you," or something like that. Does anybody know like what EP or whatever that's on? I can't find it on Spotify. I can't find it on YouTube. And somebody said, tagged me, and I was like, "That's my song. That's not the Front Bottoms." And so I said that. And then Olive on TikTok used Mike Walton in a video showing off like a bunch of tattoos and stuff, because that was like a mini trend that ended up happening. And there was like 4 comments on there that were like, "I love mom jeans," or "mom jeans heart." So like if it was just the "I love mom jeans," I'd be like, okay, they're just being like a dick. But like the mom jeans heart one kind of like went to my brain. I was like, they know this isn't mom jeans, right? You know, so I just made this dumb little rant that I was like, I think people might actually listen to my music if they actually knew it was by me. And then just kind of like ranted about how I feel like people keep thinking it's not. And it basically, one, started a war in the comments, because you had basically the real emo equivalents of Front Bottoms fans being like, "This sounds nothing like the Front Bottoms, and people should know that. It's very obvious." And then other people were like, "Yeah, no, oh my God, like I love the Front Bottoms and I love this. I'm going to listen to you." So like it started like this discourse, and the video popped off. And then next thing I knew, like Mike Walton was huge. Like, I guess not huge, but like huge for my standards. So yeah, I kind of just lean into it because it's usually a good way for, like I said, the whole engagement thing. Because like, one, it is not, no matter what anybody says, like fans of certain bands tend to like other bands, like other certain bands. So if, you know, like most people I know who like the Front Bottoms, like modern baseball,
Yep.
I get compared to the Front Bottoms a lot. I get compared to mom jeans. Like I get the mom jeans one, I don't hear as much. Like I don't like myself, I don't get as much. But I get compared to these people. So it's like, if other people are comparing me to them, that means if I say like, "Hey, looking for the fans of these people," they might fuck with it. So it's not that I just randomly one day was like, "Let me try and sound like this." It was just like, I guess low key, I put zero effort into my music, and it just ends up sounding like the Front Bottoms and mom jeans and modern baseball. Like, I'm not saying they don't put effort into their music. I'm just saying I don't. Cause like my first EP was like, try hard, super, like I tried to be like poetic and deep and like, you know, emo, like 2009 emo sad, instead of like the kind of like upbeat, more sad stuff that I do now. And it just got exhausting trying to do that. And then I did discover modern baseball in like 2017, or yeah, something around that time. It was like right after they broke up, which sucked. I was like, these guys are just saying what they're feeling. Like they're not like trying to like find fancy metaphors for it. And I fuck with this. I'm just going to do this because this sounds significantly less difficult than what I'm trying to do. So wasn't so much like a let me sound like modern baseball. It was more like, let me just say what I'm feeling, and not worry about like, can I hit this note? Can I hit this? I'm like, no, like I have the acoustic guitar. Let me just fucking play my chords and just like talk. And that's pretty much how I started writing songs. I just started playing guitar, talking. And then I would kind of go back and like modify it a little bit so it maybe rhymed, and then call it a day. And half my songs too are just me making fun of my friends. So,
it kind of sounds like you started out kind of with your inspirations from third wave email, and then the modern baseballs, Front Bottoms, mom jeans of the world started getting you into that more of the Midwest sound.
Well, and so I actually hated the Front Bottoms the first time I heard them. So they were on tour with Say Anything, and I was super psyched to go see Say Anything. And my friends all were going to the concert because they were excited for the Front Bottoms. So I sat in there for like a couple songs, like while they were opening, and then was kind of like, you know what, this isn't for me. I'm going to go outside and have a cigarette. And came back in like once it was over, which like in retrospect, I was that dick who like goes outside and smokes a cigarette during the set. But I think it was like, I really like started like deep diving into like the modern baseball stuff, and it was like on YouTube, and in like the queue, 12 Feet Deep came on by the Front Bottoms. And I'm like, damn, this is a little bit of a different vibe. And I like look, I was like, oh, this is the Front Bottoms. Oh, I kind of like this. And then like kind of just listened more from there. Because the only song I really ever heard from was Twin Size Mattress, which like I said, like it didn't do it for me. Like I was like, oh, okay, the "Hey man, I love you, but no fucking way." That thing's cool. That line's cool. But like, But like now I'm like, no, I love these guys. Like I got the fucking tattoo, because it was like, I think 2020, my now wife and I like broke up, and I started battling with like, realized I had an issue with my sobriety and I had to start working on it. And basically that fucking album got me through like the whole like early days of the sobriety habit. So it was like, okay, let's get the fucking tattoo. Kind of like when I was like homeless and a lot harder into my battle with sobriety, I got a lot of Spute flower because a lot of Spute fucking helped me through all that. But only 2 band tattoos I have. If they ever get canceled, whatever, I'm keeping them. It's fine.
They've got personal meaning at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's kind of like just why, like I said, why we, back to the question at hand, why I kind of just lean into it is it's one of those things where other people are making the comparison. So if I reach it, I might find other people who agree. And if I find other people who agree, it's more people who resonate with the music. It's more people I can like build a community with and like, you know, chat it up. Cause like, I do like chatting with my fans. I know certain people have made communicating with your fans weird, you know, in the past couple of years, but like I understand where like sometimes, cause like I've had fans try to pull me into like relationship drama. And I'm like, no, bro, like I'm an adult. Like I don't need to be any part of this. Y'all like stay over there, like leave it in your lane. And I feel like that's where some people don't do that. They don't set that boundary. And that's when it gets weird. Like Colleen Ballinger. I don't feel bad dropping her name. But the whole Colleen Ballinger thing, and then a couple other like bands recently that have come out and people talked about them being weird and creepy and all that other stuff. Like you gotta set your boundaries with your community. Like it's good to engage with your fans. It's good to like, because they're people, you know, they're people who love you and like listen to your music. So like show them some respect. The at least you can be is like, hey, you know, thanks so much. Like respond to comments. Like it's not that bad. It's not that hard. Just set a boundary. Like you don't need to be pulling me into your, you know, childish romance that is with another Adjust the Sales fan that you met in a Discord server, and now you're trying to like get removed from the Discord server because they were like, hey, this is stupid, we're not actually dating, like whatever else. Like I don't need to be a part of that. I don't need to hear about it. Like y'all keep your lives separate. Like I'm just here to like hang out and like show you guys new songs.
You just want to chill, play some music.
That's all I want to do, man. I just want to chill and play some music.
What advice would you have for other artists right now trying to cut their teeth and market their music on social media to start that career and get to the point where you're at now? Even not even just like the social media thing. It's kind of just like, well, no, yes, the social media thing, definitely do the social media thing. But like the advice I'm going to give is like something that applies to everything is like, well, almost everything. You're going to get about 1,000 no's before you get a yes. You know, like that's what they said all the time. Like when I was starting, before like people really started leaning into the social media, like this part of the social media side, where it was like, you know, just ask people, just DM people, like you'll get 1,000 no's before you get your first yes, like in terms of like record deals or like whatever else, which like now you don't even really need one. Like so many labels are moving away to just to distribution deals because they realize that like nobody wants to sign a record label. Which I will say, if you can get a distro deal, do it, because like DistroKid does kind of suck, and distro deals can like be a lot better. Like I just signed one this year, and it's been phenomenal. But don't let like the first couple like things that are like, you know, you getting shut down or you not reaching people discourage you. Don't let it get to the point where you take that as like, I'm bad at this, I can't do this. I didn't do anything special. What happened was I got lucky. You know, I posted at the right time randomly. The right people saw it. Like, it's a lot of luck. It really is. Like, there is no secret formula. I'm going to interrupt you there because I do feel like some of it is luck, yes, and like popping off. But I also feel like you've figured out your algorithm and what to do and what your audience likes and engaging with that on the other side of it too.
I did, but it was after the initial bump. I think. Okay. So like basically like the initial bump is what really I think helped push me to the algorithm, because like what happened was Mike Walton popped off. Okay. Every video I posted after that, if it didn't have Mike Walton, it wasn't popping off. Like it wasn't getting any reach. It would go from like, if I used Mike Walton in a video, it got, you know, 20,000 like anywhere between like 20,000 to like 100,000 views. But if I tried promoting, like putting another song out there, like, hey, you guys heard this song by me, listen to this, it would be like 500 or 1,000, like a very large gap. So I did figure out the algorithm. I have figured out like my algorithm to an extent. It always changes, so it always is kind of a guessing game. But that first initial boost that like kicked off, same with Me, Myself, and Emery, the newest song that's like been getting attention, or even Pool Song before that, because I've had three eras of success on social media, and it's been Mike Walton, Pool Song, and now Me, Myself, and Emery. All of them like just randomly had one win, and from there it was a windfall. You know, like that's kind of how it works. Like for certain people, it's better than that. Like Freddie from Dear Marianne can literally just like post a video of him singing about a Cheeto or some shit, bro, and like it doesn't matter if it's the first video, it's gonna get 100,000 views, like because he's just a great guy and people like vibe with that. Like but like I said, it is kind of luck, like falling into that first little bit of success. It's a lot of like, you know, failure and finally getting lucky and having something pop off. That being said, if your music's trash and your way of marketing it is saying, you know, like people hate me because I'm a Republican gay punk or something like that, and then the music sounds nothing like punk music, which like I get, we can have the debate of what punk music is, but like I don't think you're really ever going to find that success there, especially if the music's bad.
Let's talk a little bit about your music as well. What made you really feel like this is it? I found my sound and this is what I want to do. Was it that front bottom story earlier, or
I think it was a bit of everything, because like I always knew I wanted to do something somewhat in this genre, just because like this is this kind of like the emo genre, pop punk stuff, whatever. Has always been like what I wanted to listen to. Like, you know, like I remember being like elementary school, everybody was like listening to like Britney Spears and shit, and I was listening to Simple Plan and Bowling for Soup. Like, and then, you know, got into like high school, was listening to more of like I don't know what the genre would be. Like I always just say like the all-time low Mayday Parade genre of pop punk. Like I list that, I guess, pop rock, whatever.
I call it emo pop, but
emo
like
pop. That,
yeah,
you know, I can fuck with that. I get that though. That works out, because it's not like, because like I always called it pop punk, and then I went to college, and the guy who actually gave me the idea for the Adjust the Sails like music title introduced me to Man Overboard, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna say this is pop punk anymore, and that's why I was actually super psyched. I even told Zach like 10 times before we played the show this week. And I'm like, I'm just letting you know, I'm going to fanboy over you, because this is like a full circle moment for me, because the same guy who showed me your music gave me my band name. And you literally kind of defined my music taste for the past like decade, because that like, they were like kind of really the first like really like sort of whiny, more pop punk sound that I listened to, you know? And then from there it was like Into Real Friends, and 4 Year Strong was in there somewhere, and then like we just progressively got more and more into like the or the modern baseball type stuff. But I don't know, I've always kind of wanted to make music like this. Like I think it's just been like a fine-tuned thing, like trying to get there, because like in high school I tried to do music, but I was like, I can't sing, I'm just going to be the guitarist of the band, and then I would be the one writing the songs though, and our singer couldn't sing. Like it's that meme of like the singer can't sing, whatever. Like no, our singer literally couldn't sing. He was tone deaf. Like I think medically, if I'm not mistaken, like he actually like has a thing where like he can't hear like the actual tones. But I would like try to show them the songs, and they're like, well, bro, like why don't you just sing it? I'm like, I'm not the singer, I'm the guitarist. So like, no, just sing it. And I was like, okay, but like it was like super nasally like this. Like I was afraid. And then because of that, like I went through the whole Never Shout Never era, where like me and like everyone was getting a ukulele because of Never Shout Never. So I got my fucking ukulele, bro. I like tried to do that shit, and I was like, no, this is ass. And then I ended up getting pulled into like my buddy in high school started like an electronic like project that was like, he sounded like Brendan Urie when he sang, but like he would put it all behind like super electronic music. So almost like sort of like first album Panic, I guess, but like more electronic. And he eventually ended up pulling me into it. And then we kind of almost did like a weird 303 thing, but like more offensive, where like I had auto-tune and I was saying offensive shit, not rapping, but like sort of. And then he was like singing like Brendan Urie randomly for the hooks. And then I went to college, got kicked out of that band, started like an acoustic pop punk band in college. And then after I dropped out of college, kind of did the first Adjust the Sales EP, the super sad one. Ended up ruining my life for about 5 years and was homeless, living out of people's basements, not being able to play music. And then when I finally decided to kind of start and get music again, couldn't write anything. And then, like I said, I found like the modern baseball thing. I'm like, hey, you know what? Let me just try just playing some acoustic chords and saying what I'm feeling. And then the first song I wrote was I Don't Miss You, Just the Sex. And Tumblr ate that shit up. And that is why the next Adjust the Sales release will probably be a re-recording of that song, because both recordings are garbage. The original one's like super off time. I don't know how anybody can listen to it. And the Pizza Party Sessions one is just like kind of poorly mixed because it was a super DIY basement
But
session.
it also sounds like even with, Tumblr eating it up as well, like you've been pushing the music and promoting it through social media in some capacity or another this entire time.
Tumblr was easy because I was cute back then and I was younger. So like I literally just drove up my engagement by posting selfies with like pop punk lyrics every so often. And like a couple of them got like 100 notes or whatever the measurement was. So if I like ended up posting a song or something, like it worked out. Or like I had, girls who I would never meet and I haven't talked to since, like DMing me how cute I was and I'd be like, hey, cool, thanks, here, listen to my music. Like, so it was easier back then. Now, like I'm old, I'm not going to slide into people's DMs and be like, hey, like listen to my music. I'm not going to try, like, obviously I'm not going to try and thirst trap anybody. Like I'm married, I have a kid. Like I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to post, like I have grown up a little bit. We've gone from like the Vans and flannels emo to like the I look like
I'm sure there's some girls that are still getting a lot of DMs that would appreciate you sending them music compared to the other things that they're getting. Yeah.
Compared to what they're getting, yes. And we have a song about that too. We have a song called How Not to Pick Up Girls on the Internet. That is exactly what
Shane,
that's about.
I want to go over one more thing and then we're going to wrap up here. One thing that we like to do here on the Our Space show is give some other love to some other artists that are working really hard like yourself right now. Do you have anyone in mind that you've really been digging that you'd love to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Just Friends. First and foremost, Just Friends is great. So Sammy's vocals are killer. Sometimes they sound like ska, sometimes they sound like whatever else. Like it almost reminds me of like a modern day. I don't know if you know the band Madness, but they were like, they're old, but they were like ska but not ska, sort of, is like the best way I can think of to describe them. I kind of view, Just Friends is the same way. Like they've got a nice, like, they're emo, but they're not, and I fuck with it, I like them a lot. Doan is killing it. Doan's about to go on tour with Dwellers, which is super cool. So proud of that boy. I literally just met that boy. I'm already so proud of him. Same with Roach. Roach was the other opener at the show I played this weekend, and me and him also hit it off. Because he's like, I don't know, I remember being his age and trying to do the whole music thing. I mean, unlike me, he's actually going out and doing the road thing. Like he did a weekender with Zach from Man Overboard and Doan this weekend. Like he's doing it. Like that kid is doing it. He's putting in the work. He is crazy. And I love it. So I got to shout him out. I'm going to shout out A Frame from Upon Your Dead Body. My boy's killing it. Mikey Mayo, little, if you like music where they don't know what genre they want to be, Mikey's your guy, man. Like, dude went viral on TikTok for a hyperpop Nickelback cover, but none of his music sounds like that aside from that song. And like, he's actually who I'm doing this little run in March with. Our working title for it is March Sadness. And it's gonna be me and him on the weekends, and then the day before the weekend and the 2 days afterwards are gonna be just Adjust the Sales shows. But yeah, we're doing the March Sadness tour. It's just a little 5-day run. Trying to think if there's anybody else that I should shout out, because I don't know. Dear Marianne slaps. Love you, Freddie. And then Darren Haw. I got to give Darren props. So Darren is one of those guys on TikTok who will find like videos of people ranting and just play music over it. He's like one of those guys who does like, yeah. So Darren's one of those guys, but Darren also duets other musicians and like adds stuff to it. And the first thing I posted for me, myself, and Emery was I stood in my guest room in front of the window and just played it acoustically. This man duetted it with like full drums, bass, and electric guitar and everything. And I was like, yo, low key, man, like we need to make this. And he's like, okay, yeah, so cool. Sounds good.
Oh, I love that.
And from there, it turned into us making an EP together. The whole Melancholy EP I do, if you look at the artist, it says Adjust the Sails and the Darren Hall Band. Darren, I recorded acoustic vocals. Darren did pretty much everything else, and I am perfectly fine with giving that man his credit and like shouting him out, because without him, that EP would be nothing. It would basically just be acoustic songs. That man has become the Ryan Lewis to my Macklemore, you know, like. So I want to shout him out because he also has his own music. It is kind of funny because he sent me his Spotify Wrapped this year, and all of his numbers were up 9,999% because any listens that EP got counted as listens for him as well. So he was like, "This is actually kind of funny."
I love
I was
that.
like, "Yeah,
that's
it is, bro.
huge.
Congrats!
I
I'm
love
happy
that so
for
much."
you.
So before we completely wrap it up, what can we expect in 2025 for Adjust the Sails? What are we looking out for? And tell us where to find you as well.
So you can find me on Instagram at official.adjustthesails, TikTok, if it's still here, Adjust the Sails Band, and then just search Adjust the Sails places. I'm usually the first search result. Not to toot my own horn, but I think really like my main thing that I'm pushing this year, I think, is going to be trying to play more shows, trying to get out on the road. Because like I said, I ruined my life in like my early 20s for like 5-6 years, whatever. So like didn't really get to tour then. Finally got my shit together, started making music, got into a committed relationship, ended up getting married, having a kid, you know, getting a house. So like that's why we haven't really toured now, because like I'm deathly afraid of going on the road, coming home with nothing, and us missing a mortgage payment. Especially with everything the way it is now, because I feel like with just one missed mortgage payment, I could get kicked out of my house the next day. So like, you know, it's just, I'm trying to actually do it though, because that is one thing about my wife is she's not, you know, there's a lot of partners and, you know, people out there who would basically be like, you're never home. You can't do this. You need to stay home. But she's not that. She has always been super supportive. She's literally, since we had our kid, she's like, this is the time for you to be doing this. You need to go out on the road.
Yeah, not many people will say this is the time to do that.
I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
We have a newborn. Leave me for a month.
I'm not going to do that. And then it was like, you know, he was 1 or 2, you know, and she's like, okay, this is the time. You need to take advantage of it. You need to do it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that, bro. But then basically this year, Mikey reached out because Mikey does a lot of DIY touring. And he's like, let's do a weekender. And I'm like, okay. And it was supposed to be down here. And then it moved up a little bit more north, and then a little bit more north. And now it basically ended up being Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New York. And I'm like, okay, so I need to book other shows before these then. That way I'm like not driving all the way from Atlanta to like Connecticut for one show and then whatever else. So that's why I turned it into like a little 5-day thing. And you know what? If the 5-day thing goes well, I have somebody actually helping me book things, because that's another reason why I didn't tour. I tried the whole DIY touring thing. I did like 2 little runs like in like 2017 and they were trash. I have somebody actually helping out now and a bunch of cool bands that I think could make this a great tour. So we'll put it in quotes because people seem to get mad.
Well, that's honestly amazing. Like it sounds like you're
so.
Honestly an inspiration. You've overcome so much throughout your life, which is amazing. And now to see what you've done with your music, how it's grown, how it's been promoted, you know, even just personal life wise, having a, you know, wife and kid and home and all of that, doing all of that while still pursuing music at this extent.
I honestly never thought I'd be here. So like, this is not somewhere I ever saw myself being. I didn't see myself settling down. I didn't see myself being a dad. I didn't see myself having anybody listening to my music. So like, it's cool. It is cool to overcome the adversity and like keep going. But, you know, like I did it to myself. So like, I don't really view it too much as a win, because it's like, it's one of those things where like you shot yourself and then like you patched.
But you could have,
like, that's kind of, I guess, good for you. You're still
kept
alive.
Going, let yourself bleed out, but
Kept
instead
going.
you overcame that. I think that's a win.
You're right. You know what? Look at these metaphors. And you know what? I said I was just going to start singing how I felt because we
We're
were
writing
bad
a
with the
song,
metaphor
basically.
thing. Look at us. Look at us right here. You want to join Adjust the
Shane,
Sales?
thank you so much for coming on the show. I
Lyrics.
appreciate it. And for everyone listening, please remember to go and check out Adjust the Sales, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. Like he said, if it's still around, go and check out his songs and keep an eye open for a date near you, potentially, especially if some tours start popping off. So once again, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for listening to Our Space with Matt Vettese. If you enjoyed yourself, please support the show by subscribing and leaving a review.